Hi, good evening. I'm Kelsey Crowe. I'm the author of There's No Good Card for This, What to Do and Say When Life is Scary, Awful, and Unfair to the People You Love. And I am also feeling like a lot of self-improvement efforts are going to be going my way after your presentations. I wrote the book based on work that I and several other people do for an organization I founded called Help Each Other Out. And we create tools that are practical, that make it easier for us as friends, as colleagues, as neighbors, even as strangers, to support each other when we're going through something difficult. That could be loss, illness, divorce, you name it. Any difficult time that can make us shy away when we don't know what to do or say. And I open the book with a story that I want to share with you tonight. And it's actually a story that happened between me and my friend Katie. Katie and Kelsey, two moms, were out for a run one morning. As the two friends ran slowly up a hill, Katie chatted idly about herself. What should I do this weekend? Maybe a movie, though I need a haircut. Something short? Should I get bangs again? Then Kelsey slowed to a stop. Katie, Kelsey said, I was diagnosed with breast cancer yesterday. Katie's mouth went dry. What do I say? I'm so sorry, she said. That must be so horrible for you. And then she said, have you seen Terms of Endearment? The two friends were at the bottom of the hill now. They stopped again, and Kelsey, as if catching her breath, stared at her incredulously. The movie? Yeah, Katie said, with Deborah Winger. Right. And she's a mom who dies of breast cancer. Oh, Katie's mind tumbled and turned. She was talking about that movie, but she meant to reference another part, a funny part. Humor was always Katie's first resort for everything, including being scared. We've all been there, haven't we? Where you regret the thing that you said or did, and you're driving in the car cringing. We've also all been that person in pain. We may not have experienced the same situation as somebody else, but we know what it is to be in our darkest hour. You may, for example, be a stranger to the loss of a significant loved one, but you may be no stranger to being lost and profound grief. You may be a stranger to losing your job, but you are no stranger to having your confidence broken. Tapping into our shared experience of pain, even when our situations that envelop that pain are different, is the practice of empathy. And that's why in my work with Help Each Other Out and in the book, I talk about practical things to say and do, and I also talk about empathy and how we can feel confident that we actually already know what to do. Being in pain and not knowing what to do shows us that we are not on the A team. And as anybody who's been in a difficult time knows, being on the B team is no fun. Grief rearranges your address book. Grief is a time for us to know who you can count on and who you can't. And yet, if it is so important for us to be there for each other, if it is so important that we connect, why don't we? And that's where I named 3 empathy roadblocks to showing up. These may be that I don't have the time, right? Our lives are busy, they're full. Who has the time to add one more person onto their plate? It may be that I don't want to make things worse, that what I do or say is actually going to make someone feel even worse than they already do. Or we feel like we don't want to pry, that I don't belong in this situation, that they wouldn't want me to acknowledge what they're going through. But here's the thing. We're making this all way harder than it has to be. And I learned this from my daughter, Georgia, who was 5 years old at the time. We were driving, and she asked me from the back seat, Mom, what do you do for a living? And that's a difficult question for me, but I ventured a response, and I said, Georgia, I try to help friends be there for each other. Oh, she said, that's easy. She should not do PR for my book. I said, it's easy. Why? What would you do? And she said, this.
You gave some ideas of what friends can do for each other when they're sad.
Friends can say, I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to play with me? Want to sit down with me?
Mm-hmm.
Also, do you want to take a break? Do you want to have a little hug?
That's it. I'm done. Except I'm not, right? It sounds so simple, and simple isn't always easy. Something happens to us from when we're that age to now where we become all self-conscious about how to be there for a friend. And a lot of that boils down to us believing that we have failed in the past to connect, and that we are actually just not good at this. There must be, we imagine, some perfect person out there with the perfect gesture that could heal this person's pain. But if you've been in pain, is that perfect person the one you're looking for to support you? Usually it's the opposite. We're not looking for the perfect person to help us in our darkest hour. And we are not looking for the perfect gesture to get us through our difficult time. And this, I realize, is very instrumental when thinking about how we can reach out to others in their difficult time. I have here gesture cards, which ask people to describe something that got them through their difficult time. Often, these are acts that are recalled from years back, and that people still remember today. And here are some examples. Talking. Just the opportunity to talk about what you're going through. My sister came to my house after a terrible breakup and made me something to eat. She doesn't normally come over. It meant a lot. My auntie babysits my brother when my mom gets medicine. I had a miscarriage, and my colleague sent me a beautiful bouquet of flowers with a lovely, heartfelt message attached. A friend I hadn't heard from in years wrote a card that said, "You are in the hands of many capable people, including your own." How many of these gestures require a significant grasp of human psychology? How many of them actually take a lot of time? Not much. We put a whole lot more pressure on ourselves to be the perfect person than anyone in a difficult time is. I did a lot of research asking people what worked for you and what didn't to get you through your difficult time. A lot of that is the basis of the book and of my workshops. And I presented this opportunity for people to talk with me as an opportunity to vent. Get this off your chest. This person didn't do this person didn't do that, they should have done this, and they should have done that. And what they would tell me over and over again was the value of just showing up. That's what they remembered more than what anybody said or did. And that was very hard for me to believe, because I was really looking to stay out of the doghouse. And I wanted rules for the road to keep others safe. I could not believe that really just showing up was so important. And then I went to a training by Dr. Garfield. He founded a nonprofit called Shanti that helps people, volunteers who care for the sick and dying. And in his training, he opens it up by saying, people want skills. They want to know how to do this, how to do that. But more than skills, what really, really gets you trust is the kindness that brings you to them in the first place. And I should have realized this, just from my own personal story. Because obviously a lot of people have this cringe-inducing experience of not knowing what to do or say, right? We've all been there. Then we shake it off and move on. But I couldn't move on. And this is the reason that I started Help Each Other Out. You see, I only grew up with my mom. I didn't know my dad, and I had no extended relatives. She was my tiny, very loving family. She also had schizophrenia. And when I was 19, she stopped taking her psychotropic medication. And when I was 23, she became so paranoid that she changed the locks, changed her phone number, and shut me out of her life entirely. There were no phone calls. There were no cards. Because the loss of the mind does not have a ritual for mourning. And save for the support of my very close friends, and one of whom is here tonight, the loss of my entire family happened without a mention. What I did with that grief was not to know how to support somebody else in their difficult time, but it did make me know that it mattered. In our society, we're conditioned to think that being productive is how we contribute. And what one woman told me, whose child has a terrible, terrible disease, is that just by listening, people are really contributing to the conversation. How can we make our kindness manageable so that we actually show up? And sometimes you may not even be a very good listener. So what else can you do? You may not be around to listen. So that's where I devised the empathy menu. It's a roster of things that you can do to support somebody in a good time, in a difficult time. It could be cooking, it could be driving, it could be cleaning, it could be listening, it could be writing a really great card. But I did say cooking. And the thing is I hate to cook. You do not want my casserole, no matter how sick you are. And herein lies the beauty of the empathy menu, is that you pick from that empathy menu 2 to 3 things that you like to do, 2 to 3 things that actually give you joy to do. For example, I do like buying flowers. Getting to put together a bouquet, for me, that's some good me time. I can do that for somebody else. And no one is going to ask me. And that's the thing about kindness, is people do not ask you to be kind. You just have to offer it. But to offer it, you have to trust your authentic gift. So you pick from your empathy menu 2 to 3 things that you like to do and offer that gift. That small gift is adequate. And because we can be in a village where everyone offers a small gift, that adequate becomes awesome. Because adequate is better than nothing.